On this lesson, we're going to begin working into After Effects. So the first thing we're going to do is open the software, just as I did here. And next I'm going to double click here on my project and bring that Illustrator file that we just created. A window like this is going to appear. Here you can import in footage, merge layers, which is a simple image, choose layer to pick only one, and composition to bring them all. So I want that, and I want my footage dimensions to be layer size. Because if you do document, everything is going to measure the 100 by 650 that we did. So we're going to open this composition, go right click, composition settings, and here we're going to see our duration, which is quite big. So maybe I can bring it to something like 160. And I can decrease my frame rate to something lower like 24. So it looks a little bit better, more cinematic. And you could leave it like this or whatever. You can always change your duration number, so don't worry about that. So just go OK. And now we have our comp. So here are all our layers that we created, the crab, the background, everything. The first thing we're going to do is create a hexagon. So you could just click and drag and create one, just like that. But really, that's not the way for this to work for us. So what we're going to do is just go here on the polygon and double click. That way you're going to create one that has the anchor point right there in the middle. Now if I open the Polystar, you can see that I get a lot of different options, the transform and everything. But I'm going to change the points to 6. So it's a hexagon. And now the pointy side is on the top. I don't want that, so I'm going to rotate it. So instead of being 0, I'm going to change this value to 90. And now it's just as we wanted. Now the next thing is that it's obviously bigger than what we had before. So we're going to change the fill first. We could just sample the one that we had. But I'm going to actually use a different color. So this green, which is actually the one color that I want to use, not that other one that was just so we could see it. Next, I want to decrease this. So my scale, I want to change this to be something smaller. And now I can use my move tool and move it around so that it's here. Just as in Illustrator, I can go window and find my align tools and make sure that I'm aligning to my composition to the top and to the left. And I can get something similar to what we did in Illustrator. And I can bring down the scale. So for example, let's see, maybe something like 32 would work fine. And if I go and change my alignment, I think that's well, but maybe it's a little bit too big. So I'm just gonna decrease this to something like 28 so we can see how big we need to go. So maybe 30 or 31. I think 31 is working better. So yeah, 31 is the number for us. And now I can just simply press enter and change this to hex or whatever name you want. This is just for me. Now we could have used the background, but I'm going to show you why we didn't. So we're going to go into hex and go into this add. And here we're going to find one that is called repeater. And now if you do that, you can see that something weird happened on the right. And what is happening is that this is repeating a certain number of copies. You can increase that as much as you want, or decrease this. So for now, let's just stick with 3. And you can see that you also have an offset, but this is really not what you want to change. You're going to change the transform of the repeater. So if I change my position, let's say that I increase it, you can see how I can start seeing those hexagons, those copies. So for now, it's going to be 0 because I want to be repeating down. So I'm just going to change this number right here to around a value of, let's go with 190. And you can see that that's working quite well. And I can increase the number of copies. So for example, I could go, maybe 102 is too much. Something smaller like 20. And now I have these hexagons. Now this is only a row of hexagons, so we need more to make what we did in Illustrator. So to do that, I'm going to go back into my contents and I'm going to add another repeater effect. So now you can see that I have 1 and 2. If I open 2, Again, I have copies and I have my transform. So I can go, and this time I want to go on that direction. So I can change this to, let's say, something like this. So let's change our position as well. This time we're not only going into X, we're also changing into Y. So we're gonna go something like 162 by 95, maybe. That's working well. So maybe 163. No, I think that's too much. 160 seems to be working quite well. So yeah, you have to make sure that they are, and you cannot see the other color. That's why you're using those hexagons that we did on Illustrator as guides. So there we go, 162 by 95. I think that's the position that we're looking for, the X and Y. And I can increase the number of copies. You can see here I can go, let's say like 50. So we have a huge area. In case you want to, like, for example, make a bigger pattern, like you want to increase your composition size, you're gonna have a lot of copies. And if I move this first hexagon, like let's say like somewhere, sorry, I'm moving another thing. Make sure that the more you're moving your hexagon, something, let's say around here, you can see that all the copies are filling my entire composition, which is exactly what I want. Now I can position it properly, and let's close our hexagon and put it on the top of our background. Now there we go. We have our hexagons right there. And the reason why we went into this direction is that we can change their shape, and so we're gonna do it later on the course, but for now you can go, for example, let's say inside the hexagon and the polystar, and let's change this one that instead of having 6 points have less or more. You can see how with just changing one value you can change the whole pattern per se. So you have all these effects, and of course all this you can animate, so you can animate the rotation and everything. So we're going to do that later on the course, but for now we have our hexagon background. And on the next lesson we're going to begin animating our icon. So see you there.